Hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections. This is your girl, Aly. I hope everybody is having an amazing day. Happy Saturday. Listen, did y'all see all those flyers going by? There's like a lot of stuff happening for Black History Month. I was trying to find everything I could in all the different places. This is Heart Health Awareness Month. This is Black History Month. This is the Love Month. And so I always say, especially in February, all that stuff kind of goes together. The more we love one another, the better our heart is. The more we get out and in the streets and get to know one another, the better our heart is. And heart health is something that is very personal to me. So, listen, this is no better time than to have this interview with my friend Jeffrey Miles Thomas, who is the CEO and owner of Thomas Medical Group. So, Alan, we're gonna bring Jeffrey in, and we're gonna have this conversation. Hey, Jeffrey,
Hello, hello. Happy Saturday morning.
how are you?
I'm exceptionally well. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good. Look, the sun is bright up there in New York today.
Listen, it is bright in my apartment, but it is still very chilly. It's in the 30s today.
Oh, listen. But we don't mind.
I don't know. Okay. We were fooled a little bit last week because we had some sunny days, and I was like, oh, I'm so ready for this. I'm ready for spring.
Right. Yeah. And then I come out last night and it was the windy, it was cold. But anyway, listen, this ain't about us and where we let me stay focused, as Tabitha would say. So I definitely, I thank you for coming back. I know you've been on the show many times and helped us with different topics, men's health and things like that. So I definitely, was telling everybody, it's Heart Health Awareness Month, it's Love Month, it's Black History Month. All those things, if not in alignment, can take a toll on you, right? So I was like, no better time than to bring Jeffrey back and let him talk to us about the Thomas Medical Group. So I know some people know you, but I still want to give you opportunity just to greet the family. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hello to the Making Connections with Aly family. You guys seen me before. I'm so happy to be back, and thank you for having me on. But my name is Jeffrey Thomas. I guess professionally, I'm a nurse by trade, former educator, but I'm a firm believer, and it's a part of my personal philosophy that when you have, you give, when you learn, you teach. So a part of my everyday life is still teaching, although it's in a different capacity. I currently serve as a manager in the ambulatory care department of the hospital that I work in, and I absolutely love the units that I cover. I love what I do. And I love the topic of health and wellness, because we do understand that health and wellness are, although they're co-aligned, they're a little different as it relates to wellness being the whole body and health being the body systems. So that's my topic of choice. Those are my topics of choice. I do a lot of community education as it relates to diet, as it relates to exercise. This is my passion. This is what I do. Thomas Medical Group is a new venture for me. I am the CEO and the president. We actually just launched last weekend. Wonderful nurse mixer event, pulled the advisory board together, and Thomas Medical Group, and I'm sure we'll get into that in a little bit, is just a three-faceted company that gives nursing services to various populations. So that's me.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
So let's just go back a minute when you're talking about the difference between health and wellness, because we know that a lot of times people do put those words together, and you're like, okay, isn't it the same thing? But just from what you were saying, it's related, but it's different. So explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so for me, health deals with the body systems, your eyes, your ears, your nose, head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Those systems that actually operate to make the body work. But we know, and me and my spiritual belief. I am a Christian, and I do believe that men and women are more than just one dimension. So we are more than just our head, shoulders, knees, and toes. There is a spiritual side, and there is a cognitive, mental side. And even though medicine has an entire devotion to psychiatry. I do believe that a part of wellness and wellness for me is beyond health, the body systems, but the entire man. Doing what you need to do to stay mentally healthy, to stay spiritually healthy, and all of those elements put together bring us health and wellness. So we just don't want you taking medication or doing exercise, but not adding those spiritual pieces in. I tell people all the time, my life really changed about 3 years ago, 4 years ago now, when I started meditating, early morning meditation. I've started this new journey with yoga. Um, and some of the poses are super difficult for me at 40 years old, but
What?
but it's
No way.
working. It's working. And that's a part of my wellness regimen, learning when to stop, learning when to say no, because we do understand that stress and stress levels directly affect what's called the cortisol level in the body. And those cortisol levels, when they're high, they can create things like heart damage and lead to CVA events or what we call a stroke. So you want to make sure you keep everything in alignment, not just taking your medicine and your exercise, but also doing what it takes. Take you a good vacation every once in a while. Take some time away. Learn to say no without any explanation. And those are the things that I tell people and what I define as wellness.
See, this is why I would recommend Thomas Medical Group, because I know Jeffrey Thomas, and I know that he over delivers. He's not just going to bring you in and say, "Well, look, take this pill," and he teaches that throughout his staff. Yeah, they might be coming to nurse you, and they're going to give you your medicine if you need it, but they're also going to say, "Hey, let's go outside and take a walk." Because he always talking about you need to get out the house. He gets on my nerves. But anyway, but listen, I might have to listen to him a little bit more, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
What? So why did you? For as long as I've known you, you've always talked about being a nurse and things like that. Why was that such a passion of yours? Why was it so important to be in that field?
So becoming a nurse was kind of like the culmination of my own health and physical journey. I am a three-time cancer survivor, a leukemia survivor. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Um, and there was so much that I learned, good and bad. But a lot of what I learned was not from my oncologist or specialist. A lot of what I learned was from the nurses on the unit who would take the time to educate me about my disease and about the disease process, and teaching me that a diagnosis is not always detrimental, that we have the power to change the direction or the course of disease process. So I do remember probably my second time going through chemo and radiation. One of the nurses was just very intent with the fact that she would not accept that I was going to die. I was going to live. And I think I had gotten to the place in radiation where I was like, I'm over it. Whatever happens, happens.
Right.
But her energy kind of fueled my energy and ignited a passion, because we've all had some kind of experience with healthcare. We've been the patient before, and we've had a good experience, and we probably can remember a bad experience.
Mhm.
But I want to, with Thomas Medical Group, increase that margin of good experiences. The truth is, minority men and women do not go to the doctor like they should. And that is a generational thing. And I believe a lot of that is because a lot of the healthcare that is available or accessible in our communities is not always culturally aware. So I think one of the major things that fuel my passion is understanding that there is a health gap. There is a depravity when it comes to minority men. And I am a minority man. a man who has defeated the odds of health, which means a lot of people don't make it back from ALL, which is acute lymphatic lymphoma. A lot of people do not get a second or a third chance at life. And I think because I've been awarded those chances, that's where my passion comes from to do what I do today.
Wow. And I just talking about that. I remember one time you were in the hospital, and oh my gosh, I can't remember her name. Brandy, I think it was. She came and like she emptied out every drawer because people were bringing like candy and stuff like that. And
Yes.
I mean, she went, and I was like, "What is she doing?" I was like, "We can have what he wants to." I was kind of irritated at first. I was like, "Why is she doing that?" But I didn't understand. She was like, cancer survives on sugar. I don't remember her exact words. She might not put it like that, you know, but when she said that, everybody was like, "Take it all." I think there's some in that drawer over there too. Because we didn't understand, and I think a lot of times
Yeah.
we don't understand. We go to a doctor to get, like you say, a pill or something to make us feel better. But now I think people are more like, listen, what is causing this issue?
Right.
Like I'm
Right.
fussing with my doctor right now because I'm like, okay, you don't give me cough medicine, you don't give me. I'm still coughing. What is this?
Yeah.
Is this
And
something
that's a lot of what's missing in our healthcare system is the education piece. All right? Because anybody can follow instructions for a pill, right? But when you get to that third or fourth pill, maybe you're on something for diabetes, maybe you're on something for heart health or heart care, and then you're on something else. Once you get to that third pill, most people lose interest and we stop asking questions. And one of the major things, I'm glad that you brought it up, is one thing that I keep in the forefront of my mind is we've always been taught that what foods and what presentation of foods like frying, that kind of stuff, are bad for us and cause disease process. But in the same measure, there are foods that promote health. There are foods that are good for us. So we put a lot of stock into don't eat this, don't prepare it this way, don't have it this way, and don't have this with this because this creates carbs and carbs break down the sugar and sugar causes diabetes. And we have all of those things and we end up overwhelmed with the you can't haves
you
and
don't?
don't
Right.
do's. And it's hard to keep up with the list of those things, especially when the majority of the list are things that you like. So one of the things that we try to do when we're educating patients, especially about diets, that we say, hey, you may not be able to have this, but try this. You may like this. You may develop a taste for a new fruit. Like I've never in my house, growing up in Vale, North Carolina, we never had eggplant. I can't tell you a time that we ever had eggplant, but eggplant contributes to the phytochemicals in the body, has a lot of nutrition in it. The skin has a lot of nutrition. And now, as an adult, I love cooking eggplant. And I like fried food, I just do. But I've learned that I don't have to cook everything in Crisco or peanut oil. I can cook things in avocado oil that is less in fat, less in saturated and trans fat, which helps my heart, right? So I think one of the major things that we've got to get back to, especially as educators and health educators, is that we teach people your diet matters. It's not just the what you can't eat and what you don't need to eat, but there are options that are available.
Yes, that piece because I mean, after a while, like you said, you forget.
Yeah.
Okay, now with this medicine, I'm not supposed to take grapefruit, but then they said I can't have fried food. You really do forget, and you just be like, well, I'm just gonna eat what I want because right now I just need some comfort.
Right,
And
right. I'm
so,
hungry.
yeah, that part.
And sometimes it's cheaper and more accessible to get a number three than it is to go home and to fry eggplant.
Right.
And that's the truth.
And that brings up another point about that education piece. Sometimes you then, once you start hearing the information, once it starts getting into you, you're like, okay, it would be quicker to go through this drive through, but what is this number three really costing me?
Right. in the
So
long run. And
yeah,
that's what we call a lifestyle change. Okay. So that's the difference between a lifestyle change and a diet. A diet just changes what you eat, changes the way you eat, your methodology behind what you eat. But a lifestyle change educates you about what to eat, how to eat it, when to eat it. It kind of helps you. I hear people say all the time, I work 40 hours a week, I have a family. But those times that you're able to sit down and prepare a meal, pull the family in together. I grew up in a home, and my friends called us the Cosbys all the time because telephones were not answered. When dad got home, dinner was on the table, and everybody knew everything was shut off because we were all at the table talking about our day. And sometimes that's not feasible because, beyond school, our children have activities and different things. But if we start setting those goals like one night a week or two nights a week, one of the things that I try to do is my meal prep on Sundays. Sundays are a lighter day for me when I don't have to be out of the house so much. So I'll find recipes. If you follow me on Facebook, I share
yeah.
recipes and cooking all the time. And I found a new one this weekend that I'm gonna try, a pasta recipe and also a chicken recipe.
Yes.
But I find myself cooking like two or three meals that will keep in refrigeration, and throughout the week I'm able to pull those things out, so that way there is a fresh meal on the table and I don't have to worry about getting home to actually create a meal or to turn the oven on, but I can continue doing what I do and still have that fresh meal. The other Saturday I made a huge pot of chili. I love chili. And I realized that we are coming to the end of this winter season. So I added a little more, a little less beef, and added a little more beans and lentils to it to make it heartier and full of protein and not so much fat. And it was phenomenal. And the good thing about it is that it freezes perfectly. So if I have these sandwich bags that I use, so I divide it out, put it in the freezer. It only takes a minute to unthaw it out and warm it up. So lifestyle changes take planning, and planning takes discipline. And therein lies the issue. A lot of us do not have the discipline that it takes. I don't know if you know it, but it takes about 2 or 3 weeks to actually get a new a new goal established, a new role in your life established. And I am a witness to that. I can say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week. I'm going to start this day,
Yes.
and that day will come, and I'm still saying I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna go. And maybe I'll get there one day out of the week. But I've learned to at least celebrate the one day.
Yeah. That was getting ready to say, but celebrate you actually made it.
Yeah,
Maybe you thought four, but you made that one. And so maybe next week it'll be two. So, but even when you were talking about
that's
planning,
the goal.
but even when you talk about planning, I mean, really, I mean, we put everything on a to do list, we put everything in our phone. So why not put that time to do your meal prep or that time for family time? We have got to start including that because we've got to get back to the family, get back to some of the basics. You know, um, I was doing so good for a while. I don't know what happened, but the thing that got me started the year before, last year, whenever I started, was an apple a day. They did an apple a day challenge, and I kept hearing that an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
And it was little things like that we learned when we were little that but we don't hear stuff like that anymore.
Yeah, yeah, we are definitely missing that education piece. I can remember in elementary school even learning the proper way to brush my teeth. I don't know if the dental hygienist goes around anymore, and we would have those annual screenings,
Yeah,
the eye exam, the all of that stuff happened in the education system, and most of that is being moved into the primary care doctor's visit or the pediatrician's visit. But I certainly wish we could go back to those days. where students were being educated in school, even about their health. Even the campaigns that we see on TV, we don't see a lot of healthy living. We see a lot of alcohol advertisement, a lot of smoking advertisement, and smoking is probably, after cardiovascular events, is probably one of the leading causes of death, and it is a preventable factor. And those are things that we need to know and we need to share. Um, a drink every once in a while, I think, does the body good.
Mhm.
But but you definitely don't want to get in the habit to get to the place of 4 or 5 drinks a week. It overworks your liver, right? And your liver is responsible for detoxifying those toxins in the body and make sure that everything is processed, that you get the nutrients you need, but the toxins you need are excreted. And you don't want to overwork that liver. Um, you don't want to develop what's called sclerosis, which is hardening of the liver. And once those areas harden, there's no way to get them back. So it's a chronic illness, right? So we want to prevent chronic illness. So chronic illness is the illness that lasts over time, right? Things like diabetes, things like heart conditions, those are chronic illnesses. And we also want to prevent acute illnesses, right? Acute illnesses are things that happen on an emergency basis. There are some two different levels of acute, right? The first being emergency. Those are things you can't actually control. You may leave out of where you are today and have a car accident and get an injury from that. That's an acute injury. So acute and chronic kind of deals with the amount of time that it takes to treat,
Hmm.
right? So chronic illness, nine almost 80 to 90% of those things are preventable, but we don't have the education or the tools in place to really teach people what they need to learn. I am happy to say that now there is more help available. Those persons who are newly diagnosed with diabetes or cardiovascular disease, they are, as a part of the treatment plan, doctors are now saying, hey, see our nutritionist, see our educator, because we want you to know what options are available for you.
Wow. And so all of this information, Thomas Medical Group offers, right, as they are helping the patient, right?
Absolutely.
Listen, y'all. I just get so excited when somebody says, you may have been diagnosed with something. We may not get you back to where you were when you were 18, but we can definitely, like you said, change the path. It doesn't have to get worse and worse quickly.
Right.
We can stop that progression. We can change some things, and you can enjoy life fully, even with type 2 diabetes and all this kind of stuff. So I get excited about that because, whew, listen, I'm in a journey right now. And so when I got
That's the
somebody
good
come on
part.
here,
You're in the race. You're in the race.
yes. And, I think sometimes we get scared to sit down at the table and
Yeah.
talk about these situations. We don't like to talk about money. We don't like to talk about health. We don't like to talk about death, but they all go hand in hand.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
I think if you invest that into your life, it's going to only make your life better. And another thing we have to think about is, especially if we're the head of the family or the one in the kitchen supplying the food for our children, maybe
Right.
even cooking for our elderly parents, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You have to think about that. I mean, whatever you serve to them on that plate is going to make a difference in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Their life, their health, their adulthood, all of that. And that
Even
goes
mentality,
to what
right?
you were saying, right, about planning, taking the time to sit down and plan your meals. Studies have shown that people who plan their meals have a better handle on their weight. And it helps to lose weight. One of the things that I've started doing is kind of putting in or scheduling into my phone each day, like when I'm going to eat. I'm usually up by 5. I try to have breakfast right before I leave the house, so that I have the fuel that I need to get started through the day. I carry an apple or a banana with me all the time. I love apples and
True.
bananas. They are always in tow, or if it's not an apple or a banana, I always have a can of like mixed nuts or something with me to provide some quick energy.
Right.
And then I schedule my lunch. I make sure that it's at a time that I can sit down, I can step away. I don't have any patients on my schedule, so I'm not eating and running, taking a bite here and going, but I can sit down, enjoy my lunch, and that's a part of wellness, right? Because I'm unplugging from the day
Mm,
for at least an hour, and I'm able to just sit and breathe and not think about anything. And then the same thing with dinner. I usually eat dinner a little late, probably around 7:30. That's just how my schedule works. But it's helped me not to go to bed so full or to feel so bloated, so I sleep better at night. I'm able to just kind of like get in the bed and chill out and not worry about the steak that I ate earlier,
right.
mooing all night long. But planning is a major part, but as we discussed, that takes discipline.
Right.
Setting boundaries, setting rules, like even in the house with the family, the kids. Hey, this is your night to help with dinner. This is your night to help with dinner. So that way you give an allowance for everybody's schedule, right? Because everybody has different things that they're doing. We all have different things outside of work and outside of school that we're doing, and that's a part of wellness too. To be socially active. So we want to make sure that especially our children are able to do those things, but we want to also incorporate them into the lifestyle changes that we're making. A lot of children today are severely obese. And obese is not just fat or heavy. Obese is a significant amount of weight for your age group, and a lot of children are dealing with that. If you notice, there's campaign in public schools about healthier lunches. When I came around, it was by the time we got to high school, it was like pizza and fries and
Right.
whatever you want, chicken sandwich, fried chicken sandwich, da, 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 da. But now there are even days that they do in New York City, days that are vegan. I think they're up to 2 days where it is no meat days. So a lifestyle change incorporates everything: what I do at work, what I do at home, what I do socially, and even how I shop at the grocery store. I am the type of person that I can go to the grocery store every day of the week because I like fresh
You better say
food. I
that.
like,
I'll
but
be like,
I've learned
what?
I've learned to make lists so that it helps my budget because I don't overspend, number one. And
Right.
then number two, it helps with that meal planning. So I know what I have here at the house and I know what I kind of have a taste for, but I can say, hey, this is what I'm gonna have this week. This is what I'm gonna eat this week. These are the days that I'm going to eat it. If I get tired of that, here's plan B. Okay. So me, fortunately enough, at work we have a fresh salad bar, and it has things like chickpeas and roasted peppers and stuff like that. So if there's a day that I get bored, I can say, hey, I don't want that today. I don't want what I brought. I'm gonna go to the cafeteria. I'm gonna get me a salad, and then there are fresh food options that are there. There's always like a baked chicken that's low sodium, and some sides that are like roasted vegetables. So there are always options, and I plan for those options because I am a finicky eater, and there are days that nothing seems to fit the way I want it to fit. But if I plan option A and option B, usually option B will get me through the day.
Right. And that's a good idea because, really looking ahead at your week, like you
Yeah.
said, especially like you families who have children who are in other activities and stuff. If you just do it day by day, then it does become like oh gosh, well, let's just do this because it's quicker. But when
Hmm.
you actually looking out for the whole week, okay, this is going to be football, this is ballet, this is whatever, piano, whatever it is. This is go visit the parents. whatever it is, you can kind of really figure out a little bit better. So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we have to understand is that time management saves us all the way around. Good time management. When we're able to manage our time, and when we really look at our weeks, we can see the amount of time that we waste. Because I used to be bad about saying, "Oh, I don't have time. I'm out of time." Da, 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 da. But then I would use a lot of my time scrolling Facebook, scrolling Instagram.
Mhm.
So I've learned to like turn my screen time down to
Right.
where some of that 30 minutes, let's make it 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and the rest of that 20 minutes, let's devote it to a project that needs to get done. Waiting on this interview today, I was looking at something that's not due in one of my classes until next week, and I said, hey, after reading the instructions, this is only going to take me 10 minutes. During that waiting time, I got it accomplished and it's finished. It's ready to submit. So when the module opens, I can just submit it and I can take it off my list for the week, right?
That right
I've
there.
completed it. I've done it. Same thing with meal planning. Same thing with health planning. One of the other things that I incorporate in my lunchtime sometimes is cutting my lunch to 30 minutes, and that last, 10, 15, 20 minutes, take the long way back to my office, or take the stairs, or find somewhere to walk. The hospital affords the opportunity that we just have several units that you can walk through. Take the time to walk, take that 20 minutes to get moving so that your food digests easier. You're able to sit down after you've sat down and ate, then you're able to get up and get back to work and not feel so sluggish,
Right.
because you're full, and not be so sleepy, but you're able to be alert, because food is fuel. Food, we need food. Any diet, any health regimen that tells you that you don't need to eat is simply wrong. You
Right.
need to eat. Your body needs nutrition, and most of the nutrition that you will get, 90% of it, is going to be absorbed from the food that you eat. And you have to train your body to absorb the energy. That's why I say get outside. Most people feel sluggish, they feel slow because they have a vitamin D deficiency.
Mhm.
Well, we make our own vitamin D. How do we do that? Through sunlight, through direct sun exposure. And we know we have to be careful with direct sun exposure and wear um, the proper sunscreen for our skin. It's a little different for people who are melanated. We can talk about that in another show. But taking that brisk walk through the park, you're synthesizing vitamin D, right? You're bringing those levels up, and we know that vitamin D contributes to to the rate at which we're able to absorb B12, and vitamin B12 has a lot to do with energy. So we want to make sure these our body systems, our mind, our spirits, all of those things connected are what makes us healthy people, and health is wealth.
Yes, all of that. Listen, this is good. Y'all better share this
Yeah,
video with
yeah,
with your family,
absolutely.
with your friends, because he's dropping some good nuggets today. And so we're going to take a quick break right now, Jeffrey. We're going to hear a song from Chops Turner. It's called "Get Together."
All right.
And when we come back, I definitely want to talk more about Thomas Medical Group, what kind of things you offer, what you're looking for, different things like that. So y'all stay tuned. More with Jeffrey Thomas, the CEO and owner of Thomas Medical Group.
Woo!
Come on, I've been looking forward to this time, just to sit back and chill. Get the things ready all night. I'm about to fire up this grill, build a dance floor. Golden memories of summer days gone by. It's late at night and no one's going home. Just stars and fireflies. When we get together, it's always a good time. When we get together, making memories, always on our minds. When we get
Hey, hey. So, Jeffrey, there you go. So, hey, everybody. Welcome back to Making Connections. Again, you were listening to Chops Turner. Listen, Chops got some chops. He was on the show. He sang something. Then he was part of our end of the year concert we did December 31st. I
Nice.
keep promoting that. Listen, if y'all didn't listen to that concert, woo, listen, I need to be a promoter. But we have been talking to Jeffrey Thomas, CEO and president of Thomas Medical Group. And so we definitely want to talk more about what does Thomas Medical Group have to offer. If you're looking for staffing, what are you looking for? Different things like that.
Okay, so I guess we'll start broad and then work micro.
Okay.
Um,
Listen, I told y'all
so
he's a teacher, right?
yeah. So Thomas Medical Group originally started out of my desire to have a staffing company for nurses. I stepped out of a contract maybe 3 years ago now, and became a travel nurse and just loved it, but didn't always like the way I was represented. So the first component of Thomas Medical Group is the staffing component. The world is in a nursing shortage. I have been probably all over this country, California, Utah, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Florida, all of those places. And everywhere, it's the same thing. Nurses love to be contracted. They don't necessarily want a full time position to be tied down to one particular hospital or one particular unit. And a lot of that has to deal with exposure. You're able to learn more, you're able to learn in different settings, and you're able to expand your knowledge base about nursing theories. There are things that I learned in Utah and California that I was not exposed to in North Carolina. There were things that I learned in Florida that I didn't learn in Georgia. So, one of the ideas that popped in my head one day is that what if one day there was a company that represented nurses that was owned and founded by a nurse who understood what it takes to work a contract for 13 weeks away from home, a nurse that understood what it was like to be out there, the good, bad, and the ugly. So that was the first component that I began working towards. So the first component of the company is supply and demand. That there is a demand and a need for nurses, but not just any nurses, good nurses. And nobody can really decipher between a good nurse and a bad nurse except a nurse. You've got to be, you can make character judgments, but until you've been exposed to those theories, until you've been exposed to the practice of nursing, then you're able to say, that was a good decision, that was a bad decision. So that's our kicker. And I wanted to make sure that we started small with that portion of the company because I wanted to be able to see these nurses face to face. I want to know what your dream is. What's your vision? What do you want to accomplish? And then I want to know what your philosophy of nursing is. What do you have? Are you here for a reason of passion, or are you here just to make more money as a contracted nurse? So that's the first component. So the second component of Thomas Medical Group is the fact that we do concierge services. And those concierge services, if you notice, a lot of discussion is happening in the world today about cosmetic surgery and elective surgeries. People are having weight loss surgeries. There is a need and a market for a nurse in those markets. What do I mean when I say that? A lot of these persons are coming home from maybe a BBL surgery or um, a stomach insert surgery, and they need a nurse to assess them. You want somebody who is trained to assess those wounds, to change those bandages. One of the things that's helpful in weight loss surgery is therapeutic massage. It helps if you come home with drains, it kind of helps move that fluid toward the drain so that it doesn't sit and cause infection. And nurses are trained with that assessment. So that's the second group that we have. And then the other part of concert services, which is a standalone services, is we offer IV hydration therapy. Um, as we spoke earlier today, one of the best ways, or the best way to absorb vitamins is through your diet. It's what you eat, how much of what you eat, and the variety in what you eat. But what we're able to do with hydration therapy is to infuse directly into the vein, just like an IV, um, maybe a vitamin B12 cocktail. What you may have a deficiency and you need that additional help, we're able to do that. Maybe you have an iron deficiency and you need that additional infusion help, we're able to do that. And that's side A. And side B is we're also able to come into the home and to complete doctor's orders, right? Because we do understand that the registered nurse can carry out the doctor's orders. So we are able to do that assessment. We are able to carry out those orders, and we are able to make sure that patients are in a low risk setting. A lot of people don't like treatment out of their home. So we're able to come into the home and offer that treatment. For the surgery portion, a lot of places have offered these houses to stay for a week, and it's maybe one nurse that comes for an hour a day. But we're able to bring that service to your home, a highly trained and professional nurse inside your home who is able to assess you every day, to give a report with a collaborating physician on staff, who is able to then speak to that nurse about what she saw, the note that she wrote, and make recommendations for there. And then on a larger scale, and where we're moving to in year 4 and year 5, is going to be a complete total clinic. My goal is to provide healthcare access across the board, and not just access, not just any healthcare, but excellent healthcare, excellent healthcare, excellent education. And this is across the board. I don't think it should be that because you live in a certain neighborhood or because you grow up in a certain place that you should have more access to education, or more access to food. I believe that everybody should have an equal opportunity to get the care that they need. A part of that clinic will be finding the funding that we need for these specialty area diagnoses, things like diabetes, things like metabolic syndrome, which is the combination of diabetes, high blood pressure, and cardiovascular issues, which is one of the leading causes of death among African American men and women. And then my major focus with that clinic is going to be, it will be wellness, but it's also going to be minority men's health. Um, Black men, Latino men, we just do not go to the doctor. So I want to make sure that we dispel the myths. I think people think if they go to the doctor, they're going to be sick. That going to the doctor makes them sick. We call it the white coat syndrome. But I want to make sure that people understand that you need a healthcare provider. You need that annual checkup. You need to know your numbers. What is your blood pressure range? What is your insulin? What is your glucose level? What is your pulse range? Those are numbers that everybody needs to know, that are important, that you should always have in your mind, so that when something fluctuates and you don't feel well, and let's say you have to go to an urgent care, that you're able to say, hey, this is out of my range. This is not my normal number. Something's happening with me in this particular system of the body. So those are the goals of Thomas Medical Group. That's where we are now and where we're headed in the future.
Awesome. And I just love what I keep hearing though is that, you know, it's really geared to the patient. You're really listening to the patient. You're really offering them, whether it's specialty service, but going in with the mindset of, hey, what can I do for you? How can I help you, work with you and your doctor to make sure that you are well, make sure that we can change the trajectory of what this looks like right now.
Absolutely.
So, I love that. And we talk about this a lot, see it a lot. Doctors come in and they got 7 minutes to ask you questions, give you a diagnosis, and you're like, but wait, I forgot about this because we was talking so fast. You go home, you're like, well, I meant to ask them about this. And it's
Right.
because whatever is happening in the world, they give these doctors these limitations. And so, and then we talked about, when you have health, home health care, sometimes they come in to care, sometimes they come in just to make money. So, I just like the education piece and so much that you put into who you're hiring on your staff to make sure that they understand we're here for a purpose.
Right. I wanted to go back to what you said about doctor's visits. Um, One of the things which has been our central theme all this afternoon, about doctor's visits, that I wanted to highlight is planning. Take a minute while you're in that waiting room and you are waiting on that doctor, and type out your questions in your phone. Write out what questions you have for your doctor, so that your care and that your plan of care is centered around you, centered around your education. If you want to know, let's say the doctor says you have hyperthyroidism, I want to know what that is. What kind of effects is that going to have on my body? Those are the questions that you need to ask. You have to use your voice and use your words. That even though nurses can be advocates, doctors can be advocates, family members can be advocates, your biggest advocate for your health is you. You have to speak up. You have to say, okay, even though that doctor may have rooms, I've said this before to my general care provider, listen, let's take a minute. Let's stop. That was a lot of information. I need you to break some of this down. And I know if I feel that way as a nurse, that any person who is outside of healthcare profession has felt that way. So take a minute while you're in the waiting room and kind of let your mind go back to what your last doctor's appointment was like. What were the numbers that you were presented? What were your vitals? That kind of thing. So that when you sit down face to face with this provider, that you have some direction that you're going in. What can I do to change this? And then my other piece that I tell people all the time is, don't be afraid to ask questions about alternative care. Okay, I know you have a pill for it, but can I increase how much I walk a day? Can I increase how much water I drink? Can I change? And most of the time, there is an alternative method than just popping pills every day. Sometimes medicine is just needed, but I do believe that there are times that we can self medicate with diet and exercise. And those are all conversations that you can have with your doctor. And your doctor may not be fully versed in alternative med solutions. So those are the times that you can ask, can you refer me to somebody, right? And sometimes these are things, they can refer you to someone like a nutritionist. um, they can refer you to a doctor who does holistic medicine. A lot of hospitals now are hiring physicians who incorporate holistic medicine. My provider incorporates holistic medicine, and one of the things that we have tried to do is those areas of deficiency that I have. Like I had a B12 deficiency and a vitamin D deficiency. So what we started doing is that's where the education came in about walking in the sunlight, having on that skin barrier, but still being exposed to sunlight, because the best absorption of vitamin D is going to be from what you synthesize. And then the B12, let's look at a natural supplement. Let's look at how we can incorporate foods that have vitamin B12 in them so that we can increase that number without you having to do an injection something like that, or an IV regimen. A lot of things, and real quick, I know we got to go, but a lot of the things that people don't understand is that when you take a lot of medications, especially if it's something that your body naturally makes, your body will stop making it, right? And it will rely on that chemical that you've induced into your body. And the healthiest way to absorb what you need is going to be for your body to function properly. That's what we want. That's what health is. That's what wellness is. And we know that there are some times that the body needs a little assistance, it needs a little help, but have the conversation. Let your physician know, I don't want to add another pill. If I can help it, what can I do? And that may mean a little more work on your part. That
Right.
may mean a little more exercise. That may mean a gym membership. That may mean, like we were talking about earlier, meal planning and that type of thing. But those things are important. It is important that you use your voice, plan your visit, so that you know exactly what you want to talk about when you sit down with that provider, so that your questions can be answered. Because the purpose of care is that it be patient centered.
Mm, listen. Whew, that is really good advice because again, I mean, because everything is so quick in the world, and we're like, we got to get back to work, so let me just get in here, get this pill or whatever. She's gonna tell me my sugar's high again. I don't care. I got to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? But we have got to learn to take time, slow down, and really, because I mean, really, I mean, we are here right now, but we don't think about the future. We don't
Right.
think that, okay, well, if I don't get this sugar down, this is what's going to happen. Then, you could be a young person. I mean, because we used to think only the older people dealt with that, but now it's happening younger, like you said. So you might be 35, you have two children in the household. What's going to happen if you have a heart attack and you're out of here? Then what's going to happen to your children? So I think sometimes we really do have to have these tough conversations, and we have to make people realize you got to slow down.
Yeah.
You
One
got
of
to
one of
get the
the things
stress out of your life and things like that. Go ahead.
one of the things my dad says all the time is, you have an appointment to die, but you have a plan to live.
Mm, say that
And this
again.
is true. You have an appointment to die. We all are going to die, but we have to plan to live.
Mm.
And it just helps us to live such a healthier life when we take a step back and just kind of prioritize things and put things in order. I think that's the one of the missing pieces. We got to learn to take that time to stop, during our day, to stop and just say, hey, let me put this where it needs to go, so that I have the time that I need to do what I need to do.
Let me put it where it needs to go, or maybe today we're not going to deal with it because I have enough stress on my plate. So,
Right,
I can't overwhelm myself. I can only
right,
do this and get this done today and feel good at the end of the day that you've done all that you could for today.
right.
Because if God gives us grace, there will be tomorrow, and we can start again. And, the Bible says his mercies are new every day. So he
Yep.
gives us brand new mercy, brand new strength, and sleep. All these things are so important. I mean, I used to sleep 4 or 5 hours a day. I really didn't think it was affecting me, but I figured out that it was. It affects you in your diet. It affects how you're digesting stuff, how well you sleep. It might have been 4 or 5 hours, but it wasn't really restful. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So it's
True.
so many things. And then even what you said earlier, take yourself on a vacation, take your family, plan it. It can
Yes.
be done. Plan your financials so that you can set aside what you need to set aside to make it happen.
Right.
Because getting in a different atmosphere, making more memories, being able to laugh. I've heard that, and I can't remember now, it just popped in my head, but people eat a lot when they're on vacation, but it's like it doesn't affect them as much because they're in
Mm.
a peaceful place. They're sleeping better, the digestion is better, so they
They're
eat.
moving.
Yeah, moving out in the sun and all those things that you talked about. And I do appreciate the fact that because what I was going to say is even if you have the best care, you still have to know who you are. And like you said, know your numbers, advocate for yourself, use your voice. Don't just take the diagnosis, ask those questions. Okay, but what can we do to make this better? What is really the root cause of this? How can we get there and start from there?
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Awesome, Jeffrey Thomas. Thomas
Great
Medical.
discussion today.
And we have to have more of these discussions. We have to keep this going, the information flowing, and let people know that, hey, what we say, we stand by it. And so, all the things that you, I mean, I can attest, if you go to Jeffrey's house, you're going to find some fruit and you can be able to have some fruit, right? You're going to go for a walk, right? You're going to get out the house, whether you
Yeah.
want to or not. You getting out this
Absolutely.
house. So, that's what I can appreciate. That's why I say I would definitely, encourage people to reach out to you, to, work with you. And so, as you can see, and you go ahead and tell everybody how they can reach out to you and how they can send resumes and all that stuff.
Okay. So the website I think is on the screen right now. It's www.thomasmedicalgroup.com. That's a great way to stay in contact. There's a contact page that you can send us your information if you have questions, things that you've heard today that you want to talk about more. That's a great way to communicate. And then the company email is thomasmedicalgroup22@gmail.com. So that's our public email. If you want to send if you're a nurse, registered nurse, LPN, CNA, PCT, you can send your cover letter and your resume to that email. And the HR department that handles that will get in contact with you. We are moving to the place where you'll be able to see our contracts online and be able to apply directly online. That has not launched yet, but you can still send us your resume and your email. I want to hear from you guys. Let me know if you were able to use some of these tips today. Let me know if anything that I said helped you. You can email me there and someone will get it to me. Thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.
Yes, I'm excited. I'm excited. Michelle said yes, probably about if you at Jeffrey's house, you're gonna get out and move. I'm not for sure which she was saying yes to. And then Veronica said great information. And so you guys make sure you share this video because we don't come up here just to hear ourselves talk. We really try to provide information that is good for you and for your family and for your friends and even your coworkers. I mean, it's time for us excuse me, it's time for us to start taking care of one another. Sometimes you might have a piece of information and you see your sister or brother struggling, share that information. So share this video because he has shared a lot today on, lifestyle, health, wellness, the difference. And so this really is good information, especially in the brown skin, community. Because listen, I really tried to be very careful for this month to have Black entrepreneurs because this is Black History Month. So this is a Black man making history. This is a Black man giving other people opportunities. This is a Black man helping us to prolong our lives, but to prolong it in wellness, so that we live well, we make more memories, we love better. You know what I'm saying? And all that stuff goes back to the heart. So Jeffrey, I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
You are welcome anytime. We got to keep these conversations going. And so, we are making connections with Aly. I am Black History. We are here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. Our contact information is info at aliciajohnson.com. You can email you can email us there, or you can call or text us 980-389-6826. If you're interested in being on the show as a guest, send contact us at calendly.com /making connections TB. Pick an open slot that works for you. It'll come to our email, and then we'll get back to you and try to finalize everything for your guest spot. But listen, we are, JT is with us every fourth Monday, not this JT, but another JT, James Sherman Thompson. He's with us every fourth Monday, bring us inspiration, to get us through the end of one month and motivate us to get to the best part of the next month. And then we've also incorporated a food review. So our food review happens every fourth Saturday. And so Two Tray Trejo takes us to all these different restaurants, shows us pretty pictures and stuff. But we will be showing you some vegan spots, showing you some cooking shows, all kinds of stuff. So we got some good things planned for 2023. And so something else I was gonna tell y'all about, but I don't remember. Tomorrow is a black no Monday is a Black History show. So make sure you tune in with Gavin Gabriel. And then next Saturday, we're also talking about community stuff, and it's surrounded with gun violence. And so all these shows are so important to our community. Listen, we have got to be active. We have got to use our voice. We have got to be present. So Jeffrey, I thank you for pushing through everything that you had to push through to get this up and running. And no, it's not easy being an entrepreneur and getting all those, state New York City, honey. They don't be playing with them licenses and stuff. So
Yeah,
I appreciate what you're doing. Keep us abreast of what's going on. If you're having, webinars or different things, let us know what's going on so we can make sure to keep the momentum going. And his thing is let's stay connected, right?
absolutely.
All right. All right. Any last words before we go?
Just thank you so much for providing the opportunity for me to share my dream that is now a reality. But also thank you. I've tuned into some of the shows. The topics have been phenomenal, and thank you for having those hard conversations that need to happen in our community. Things about health and wealth and sustaining life and that kind of stuff. So thank you, thank you. This is absolutely a great outlet, and I will continue to share and continue to be involved.
Yes, you better. No, but no, I appreciate you. So we are Black History. Don't forget, listen. We are standing on the shoulders of our ancestors, and at some point in time, somebody will stand on the shoulders of what we leave behind. One of my favorite scriptures is, "We are living epistles read of all men." I ask you, what do you want your story to be? So we are making connections with Allie. And until next time, as always, we live in you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a great day, everybody. Health and wellness. Bye, Jeff.
Bye.